Tsar's youngest son. And he was thought a bit simple and certainly whimsical. He was much smaller than his brothers, and nowhere near as good with sword or the wrestling, and seemed to get short-sighted when it came to hunting. Not only that, but he was soft and cried when his brothers brought home a brace of fowl, and shared not their pride. But there came a day when they each had taken a bride and strutted about the courtyard in great pride. And he said, I shall go out into the wide world and seek my fortune. And so the cook, who had a bit of a soft spot for him, made for him a russet so heavy he could barely carry it. And he put it on his back. And the groom, who had a soft spot for him, gave him a fine mule jack and said, I cannot give you one of your father's steeds, but take this jack and be safer than ever you could, for this fellow is wiser than any fine steed. Remember that he knows more of the world than you, and trust his judgment. And so did Vanya mount upon the jack, not worried for his pride, and took the canvas sack, not worried that he might look a common soldier, and off he went into the wide, wide world. And as day turned to dusk, he found himself at the edge of the forest that bordered his father's lands. And the folks said that there was danger in that forest. But Vanya had no fear, for he had ever been friends with the wee creatures that came around his father's table. Squirrels, badgers even, birds, even the hawks that flew, and the ravens. And so he entered the dim forest and whistled his friend. And he went along a little ways, and soon he grew hungry, and so he sat down upon a log, and we all know what happens when you sit down upon a log to eat your lunch in the forest. Sure enough, a little old lady came by and said, Grandmother, I was expecting you. Will you share my lunch with me? And she said, I do not know if you can fill me up, dear son. It has been so many years since any has offered me guesting. He said, Grandmother, I will not starve myself, but please, take of this bounty. There are apples and cheese and onions and bread. Please, sit with me and tell me tales. And so the little old lady sat with him and ate and was full because the food was given with such good heart. And she said to him, Vanya, son, I knew your father when he was your age. Do not be fooled by his bluster now, for he was once a gentleman. Don't go. But let me tell you this. And she plucked from her thin gray hair little tresses. And she tied them in a ribbon, and she said, Son, if you are ever unsure of what is good and right in this dim world, place these 3 tresses upon your arm, and if they spin sunward, you are going the right way. And if they spin against the sun, then be not fooled by whatever advice you're being given. And trust your good fellow Jack there, and you'll be all right. And the little old lady disappeared, and Jack said, I guess I'm on an adventure. Vanya said, well, I guess I'm on an adventure, aren't I? And he sat upon his friend Jack once more, and they were becoming quickly friends, for he did not ask very much of the mule, did not ask him to run when walking would do. And soon they came to a crossroads. And Vanya looked at the crossroads and he thought, that way lies that way their sun still shines, and that way ahead is awfully dark. And then away to the right, he heard a sound, like a cat or a small child or someone crying. steps on his phone, they turned to the right. He said, ah, good. And off he went, and sure enough, before long, he found a thicket, and in that thicket was caught of all the critters a fox. He said, oh, well, I was expecting that, wasn't I? And he set the fox free. And the fox stood up on its hind legs and shook itself off and was soon a fine red-haired young woman who said to him, Vanya, you've done me a good deed. I was trapped in that thicket without the use of my hands. For an ill word I had said, I have learned my lesson and will speak kindly to all travelers from here on out. And take this hair from my tail, and if you are in need of wisdom, burn it in your fire, and I will come and help you. And off you go on your way, and you need no advice from me, for you have learned the lessons of kindness and forethought. And so Vanya continued on, and it was getting dark, and soon he came to a clearing in the forest by a pool. And now we come to the heart. For there was a tall and drooping willow tree beside the pool, and in that tree sat a lovely lady, delicate, small, her hair shining in the moonlight, green and gold, silver and blue. He had never seen a lady with green hair before. Her eyes shone, and she combed her hair and sang, and he said, my poor young lady, it is growing cold in the evening. Will you take my cloak for the night? And she was so shocked, she stopped her singing and held her comb steady and looked at him again. What did you say? He said, young lady, clearly you are far from home to be roosting in a tree like a bird, but unlike a bird you have no feathers. And looking at her pale, pale skin, I'm sorry to keep it away, chilly. And in that moment, something opened like a flower in her heart. But she said nothing, but accepted the cloak and curled up on her branch. And he, seeing that this was a fine clearing with water and soft moss, curled up on her. And in the morning, when they both awoke, he said to her, my dear lady, you have been in this clearing longer than I and must know the way around. I am here to seek my fortune. Tell me, who are you? And again she stopped dead. She had no idea how to answer that question. It had been so long since anyone had asked her name. And at length she replied in a tiny voice, I'm Shayla, sir. I think my father's house was hereabouts, long these many years ago. And he said, Shenya, you poor dear, how long have you, oh, don't tell me how long you've been lost. Come and share my breakfast. And if you would like, let us go and seek the sunshine together. And in that moment, her heart that she had not felt beat in many years broke and healed again. And she came down from the tree and stood beside him and took his hand. And into his hand she placed her comb. And she said to him, Vanya, you are not so simple as you seem, for you know the importance of kindness and respect and truth and good counsel. You are brave, and you know how to accept wisdom. And what more ever could a ruler need? And indeed, she went back with him, sitting behind him upon pillion upon the mule jack. And when they returned to his father's kingdom, it turned out that one brother had gone for the church. He had a calling and could not refuse it. And the other brother was happily leading the army until such time as they met the British. So there was Vanya, the youngest son, unexpectedly Tsar of all his people. And he never forgot the lessons of kindness and wisdom.